You see, TV is power. The power to love, to pacify. And then when all eyes are glazed and all minds are jelly, power to hold the world in your fist.
Are you ready, Amelia?
Yes, I am.
Roll sound.
Welcome to Different Views, One Voice. Each week, our host, Amelia Ismore, will have conversations with her guests, telling us their views on music, spirituality, politics, lifestyles, fashion, hip-hop, and culture. Each having different views, one voice.
Welcome to Different Views, One Voice. I'm your host, Amelia Ismore. Now, normally, I always have a guest in our studio, but sometimes Mohammed has to go to the mountain to get the 411, and so be the case this week. So many times we talk about the economy and how businesses can grow, and it starts from the top, the CEOs, on down, when you talk about the DNA of a company. Now, when we talk about the world of economy and today's businesses, we always talk about the competition. However, our next guest has a different ideology as it relates to how businesses can flourish in the new millennium, and that is called cooperative economics. The question that one CEO will ask another CEO is, how can I be of service to you? It is no longer trying to drown out the competition, but help the competition flourish in the industry so that the industry continues to grow. I had the honor and the privilege to catch up and speak with CEO Berny Dohrmann of CEOSpace. Now, many of you have heard of CEOSpace. It is a unique networking conference where nothing but CEOs get together and ask how they can be of service to you. So, I will be off camera for this in particular show, but we will still give you the 411 on what is pertinent and possible in the world of today's economy. So welcome to Different Views, One Voice. Check it out. Welcome, Berny Dohrmann, to Different Views, One Voice. Your background, unbeknownst to a lot of people that might not know who you are, has been tremendous. I want you to talk a little bit about some of the experiences that you've had that has made you the Berny Dohrmann that we all know and love.
Well, it's a whole film by itself. They're making a movie about my life story. But, my dad founded the human potential industry. And so I grew up with Napoleon Hill, who worked for my dad's company till he died. I was on Napoleon Hill's lap forever. I was there at Zig Ziglar when he was 22 and got his first job. Earl Nightingale, Og Mandino, all those of the past, where my dad was their mentor. Martin Luther King, Jack Kennedy, the most famous people in the world, Walt Disney, Fortune CEOs of the top 500 companies. And I've done all that myself. I've trained the largest company board chairman and still do. I also have trained all of the thought leaders. And we've been the inventor that has created things like chicken soup for the soul. Guinness Book of Records sold for $68 million. Rich Dad, Poor Dad sold for $40 million. And I'm so proud of the successes those folks have had. John Gray with Men and Mars Colliding. Working with Lisa Nichols in The Secret. You can see all these films on our website and just Google search CEOSpace and you'll see all the names. Bob Proctor, CEOSpace Bob Proctor, star of The Secret.
Les
and
Brown.
You'll see 1.5 billion, CEOSpace Les Brown, CEOSpace Lisa Nichols. And you'll go, oh, I didn't know they all started at CEOSpace, but now you'll find out. But so did so many products that you're buying at Walmart and you're buying at Target and you're buying at Lowe's, and you're buying at Home Depot, and you're seeing on Home Shopping, and you just didn't realize they all started at CEOSpace. We've launched more brands, more successes, and we financed major resorts and projects all over the world because people come to CEOSpace for capital or customers or both.
This cooperative capitalism, there is a sentence that you kind of ask or pretty much mandate your participants to ask is, how can I be of service to you? Which is so congruent to reformation or transformation of today's society of I, me, my to us, we. Was that something that was cognitive as far as the implementation within your program, or was that just part of your own personal transformation?
Well, it's part of cultural training for cooperative capitalism. And we tell you, I'll give you some value for listening today, and share this, please, with those in your email list, in your tribe. Get this going viral, put it on your walls and post it on your boards for us, which is these tips will be very helpful. Social capitalism is everything. I mean, we all network, don't we? I mean, you're networking. So when we network out there, we need to make it count. And so when you go out, stop thinking about, and I like Zig Ziglar, who's passed recently, but I was in his life when he was 22 forward, and I'm saying my father helped teach him this philosophy of if you want to get everything you want in life, help everybody else that gets everything they want in their life. So when you're networking, go to people, go to every networking event and say, what are you doing and how may I serve you? And then if you can help them, say, see me, I have a contact for you. Or say, I'll scout for you, and be sincere. I'll really scout for you, and I'll help you get connected with people I know in my circle and people I'm networking. I may bring people back later today because I found someone that's perfect for you, so thank you for sharing. So, you know how valuable it is for you if you have 5 scouts or 7 scouts bringing you people. So now you're networking in a painless way in every networking meeting, going, what are you doing and how may I serve you? And then you're ending with, I'll scout for you, or see me because I have a contact for you, and give them your business card. That is very powerful, and it makes your net work. So is your net working? Because we'll help you get your net working. And I think that's so important.
Well, you know, I love that ideal because I love to tell people your network is directly connected to your net worth. But playing the devil's advocate, how do you balance the differential between being of service and being used? Because in today's society, so many people are about I, me, my, that with that mentality, they might be abusive. Is it based on action or culture or corporate DNA? Like, how do you ascertain who to ask that question to?
Well, we spend a lot of time at CEOSpace where owners of businesses come through to change their cultures and to learn cooperative systemic models for running their business. They want to put systems in their business operation that are cooperative cultures, not competitive. And the reason is that when you have a competitive, draw a pyramid and put at the top fear, at the bottom punishment, and in the middle exploitation. Fear, punishment, exploitation. And if you like coming to work early and leaving late in that environment, I doubt it. And if you draw a circle and you put recognition and reward, and then you put down, the results of celebration at the bottom for the achievements you're making. Do you want to work in recognition, reward, and celebration, or fear, punishment, and exploitation? That model's dying because it doesn't flourish and make humans thrive. And all the new, hot, cool companies that are being created in the world are all cooperatively based. They hate the competitive model and they can't stand it. When you're cooperative, really cooperative, you go help each other unconditionally. You don't go help because you want something. You don't go help like it's a negotiation. You go and network and help because you want to make a difference in the other person's life and you love doing it. What are you doing and how may I serve you? That's the best way to network. Then you're building social capital. And the social capital account for your bank account will go to the moon. You can't even make the interest on that you would make if you did it the competitive way.
You know, a lot is said with that whole cooperative economics ideology in that it's a difference between establishing a business relationship or a long-term relationship. You know, there's an adage that was taught a long time ago, people do business with people they like. And by extending yourself, do you believe that ideology is what makes people like you more, so to the point where it becomes your moniker? And
I think we're starving for integrity. I think that in competition there is no integrity. We live in competition under the 11th commandment, which never existed. So Moses didn't hack out in the 11th commandment, screw unto others before thou art screwed unto. There is no 11th commandment. We're supposed to actually be living by the 10 commandments in all our faiths. And I'm saying when we come over to cooperation and we look at how to make our families and our societies and to fix what's really wrong with this, having taken a detour down a wrong path in competition, there's nothing good about competition. There's everything good about cooperation and collaboration. We live in the collaborative age. And so when you look out into the future and you start to see these thriving, booming businesses, why are we number one in Inc. magazine?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
Why are we number in Forbes magazine? Why are we number one in the world, the number one business conference in the whole world, year after year? Why? And the answer is because we help more people to have more success than any other plant in the world, and we do it consistently for 30 years. We're legend for doing it, but we're doing it in a cooperative culture environment where people are thrilled with their lives. Their life thrills them, and that's what we're really looking for when you want to create buzz. And that's what the buzz is getting out where we have thrilling lives together. You cannot do that in that suppression of cultural frameworks of competition. It's just a failed model for capitalism. It's a failed model for communism. And what we need to do is get cooperative capitalism going so governments can thrive together to serve their people instead of every boat's in, it for themselves, and how can they take advantage of the other to maximum level. And that's what we've been doing. As nations, we've been screwing each other, and I'm saying we got to stop this. You've got to have integrity, because integrity is the DNA of cooperation. And don't we all want to build cultures across the world where we get our integrity back? Isn't that what we really want?
Absolutely.
I mean, really, I think that's the answer.
If you had to give us a snapshot, because, I was able to experience just a brief snapshot of what CEOSpace was, and I was absolutely floored with the kinetic energy as well as the aesthetic energy of people really sincerely wanting to help. So if you wanted to give our viewers right now a snapshot of why they should participate in CEOSpace, what would that be?
Well, acceleration, really, of their own prosperity. If they're looking for a more abundant lifestyle, richer framework for their family and children, much richer framework for their income and their business. If you work in a company, you're going to get raises and get promoted and get higher skill sets and go forward. And I'd say that's over a Wharton degree, over a Stanford degree. I've got videos of Stanford, Wharton, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Beijing, Cambridge, saying I'd give up at MIT my $80,000 MBA that I spent dollars on and years getting for what I got from CEOSpace because of the pay raise that I got, what has happened in my life financially, and the richness of the association and social capital that I'm having. So if you want to accelerate abundance, if you want more prosperous living, if you want to have a happier, sweeter, more magnificent life, don't you want to be in a community that's in 140 countries, the largest community growing faster than any other, that is all cooperatively based and everybody's doing everything in cooperation with integrity? I mean, if you want that society for yourself and you want to be in that, then you come into CEOSpace where you spend $1 and you get $1,000 back. If we're not making money for you and making a profit for you and you're really making money, bottom line, not a seminar, real results, measurable results, we refund your money. We're the only place where you pay once and you can come back 5 times a year for life. It's like an asset that you've gotten, because once you're in CEOSpace and you start getting value, it never ends.
It's basically an investment in yourself as well as your company, as well as your social worth. And I love that you said social wealth, because a lot of people don't realize you're only as good as who knows how good you are. And if you don't work on that asset, you're pretty much unknown.
Well, we all have these cell phones, and I tell you, it isn't when you get there who you have in your cell phone. That doesn't matter. What matters is Berny Dohrmann in Donald Trump's cell phone? Am I in Tony Robbins' cell phone? The answer is yes. as you saw tonight? Am I in Gary Miller's cell phone, Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? You know that you are because I put you on the phone with him tonight. Am I in Barack Obama's cell phone? What you want to know is whose cell phone are you in? And so when you're networking, don't give your business card out. Say to the person that's important every time you're with a key contact, would you phone me right now so I have my name in your phone? That's what you say. That's the new social capital. That's the new network. So you've got some very valuable tips on our sharing time together. And that's why I want you to share this on your walls and make it go viral, because it'll help others in your mailing list. There's content. At CEOSpace, we don't give you a seminar and superficial stuff. We give you real stuff that you can use right away, like you're getting on this film. Only we do it over days of time. We don't mess around. I mean, we really transfer skill sets you can use, put to work, and no nonsense, have value come back to yourself right now. That's if I'm on film, you're going to get that from me, because that's what I want to deliver to you. So my goal is that I change your life, that I make a difference in your future, and that I do that from your children, from you in the mid-range, and for you that are my age, all the way through your life. And where you improve a human's potential is the first instant that concept came to your consciousness. The first instant you thought about it, that's when we, bam, improve your potential.
Well, you know what, Bernie, another thing that I wanted you to expound on a little bit is some of the major mistakes that as a company starts growing, they don't necessarily have that foresight. Many look at the moment as opposed to the longevity of the moment. And how does CEOSpace help them mitigate that mistake?
Well, I think at all levels, no matter if it's a fortune company, a mid-range company, or a development company ramping up, you always have in divisions and areas that you're putting into the market in super change, weak plans, weak teams, and lack of resources to properly execute the next mission. So by strengthening and making strong plans, strong teams, and making sure you have the resources for the next mission, everything works better. And then doing it in the right sequence. Sequence is a killer. You can have the great dream and vision, but you're doing things in the wrong sequence, and that plane never soars, it crashes. When if you did the buttons of the plane in the right sequence, it would always soar. Your business would always soar. So we put the mentors that advise the largest companies in the world at the top in a room and volunteer their time, so they work with you privately, one-on-one, not like a seminar. And that one-on-one time, that mentoring, real mentoring, that's what makes you have a way to stay in the fast lane and not hit the curb, because those mentors are your double lines, so you don't hit the curb as you pick up speed, and you actually stay in the fast lane. So when it comes to acceleration and really getting your goals, we shrink the time, shrink the money cost to get your growth goals. And we do it with better mentoring. And I'll say I've been doing this 30 years, and people are still coming in at the top, billionaires, and they're saying, how did you invent this? Why didn't I know about it sooner? This is the most fabulous assistance for my own agenda, what I'm doing next, that I've seen in the marketplace, and I didn't know it was out there. And so I have people at the top of fortune companies that send their management teams, because it's better than what they were doing with some of the major brand Ivy League universities for refreshers. So in remaining current and super change, I don't think there's anything like CEOSpace as a performance training for the major companies of the world. It's just kind of an undiscovered secret, but if you look it up, it's Forbes and Inc.'s #1 in the world this year. I mean, you can't get better than #1. And getting there isn't the hard part. We stay there year after year. We're stay #1. That's the hard part.
Well, here's the thing that I want to ask. You know, part of success, or part of being able to know what's next, is the art of reflection, and really being able to surmise what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, and sometimes staying in that honest truth of what your status truly is, and not necessarily letting the yes men cloud your ideology. How do you, as the CEO and creator of CEOSpace, stay grounded when you are instrumental in getting ratings from Forbes and Inc. as the #1? Because your humility is, I think, one of the characters about you that's so alluring.
Well, I have the most fabulous mentors that I bring in for everyone else, And 5 times a year, I'm with them. And they're tough love. They don't let you get a big ego. They're looking at what you're doing and they're calling your BS on you, and they're making sure that you revise, grow. And I always say what Nietzsche said is right, which all living things either grow or they rot. And I've invested my whole life on personal growth. No matter what age I'm at, it's never good enough for God. How do I make myself better, more excellent as a father, as a husband, as a person serving the public, and do the best expression of my life that I can, and hopefully lead all my teams across 140 countries to do the same thing. And so we do that collectively, and then our mentors are on us too. I mean, I'm just like everybody else going. I'm asking for help. I'm trying to make my own acceleration and agenda, because we want to, we imagine CEOSpace being a program that 5 times a year in Florida is going to fill ultimately, where when you're a member of CEOSpace, you're going to own a lifetime membership, and you're going to be in a place that will have 6 ballrooms of 5,000. You'll have 30,000 networking on 5 continents. So your membership will permit you to go to the Asian Forum and the CEOSpace in the Europe Forum and South America and Africa, and you can open up your products all over the world by migrating through these different resources that we're producing and providing for you, all for the one fee where you never pay anything else and you come back for free forever. Nobody else does that. Everybody else is nickeling and diming and upselling and trying to sell you something else, and we don't do any of that. We are truly in service, and it's a difference, and we example this cooperation and cooperative capitalism, and people say, how can you do it? And we say, if we're not the example of it, how could you trust us? So I mean, we are the example of it.
I want to fast forward to today's current climate. There's a lot of change that's happening in America today as far as business and business opportunities. What advice or what insight could you give those that are like really at the brink of taking the next step in their business, but is a little leery because they don't know whether or not they should look for the investments or hold on to what they have until they know what climate of the world that we're in? What could you tell them to kind of continue their continuum as a runner?
Well, I think that in the world market, we have a casino, and the digital market has now become a market where the rules and regulations that were in the paper market of the 1930s when they were all made have become unable to cope with the digital go-around.
Yeah, they're defunct.
So now it's a casino capitalism where everybody's trading by software, and it's not a real market anymore. And that's too complicated for this video, but as an investment banker economist, we need the largest G100, all nations, to come together and cooperate and form a new regulatory plan to get the horses back in the barn so that we control the digital market and have a real market without speculation, unwanted greed, and manipulation, and get real markets, because otherwise it's really not the market of your father's fathers. It's not the safe bet. Now, in the entrepreneur space, in the entrepreneur age, circulate your money and find places to invest in small businesses. Diversify, never concentrate. If you're going to put money out, buy 10 businesses with your money, not one. Put your business in 10 different bets, and you'll make lots of money with growth companies. Get involved in circulating money in the businesses that will serve humanity and come up next, and look for cooperative-based companies, inventive companies, and you'll make more money than any market investment you could ever make. So diversify in venture space and watch the profits flow in. That's where to have a ball and have fun and make a lot of money every 3 to 5 years in growth investments in the venture space. Just don't concentrate your money, diversify it properly. The government says in the US, don't put more than 10% of your net worth or income in any one venture in any 1 year. And that's like with crowdfunding. And so I recommend, you follow the government's advice, diversify, but put some of your money in circulation and venture investments, and you'll make more than the market investment, in my opinion.
Now, again, going back to the beauty and the, I guess, blessing of having a dad such as yours. If you had to surmise what one of the most important lessons that you've learned from a great such as your father, what would that one lesson be?
You know, Dad told us stories always, and these stories were magic. And I think that, you know, one of the great stories was he had all our 9 children, my brothers and sisters, in kind of a forest. And he told us that in this forest are the maybes who have had some great moments in life, but now are afraid to take a risk and go forward because maybe a bad thing would happen. Maybe they wouldn't really have what they wanted. And he said the majority of adults are frozens. These are folks that will never go back to the light of God and all the options that are coming down to them because they've had a divorce that crushed them. They had their best friend with their partner. They lost a child at 7 and they blame God, and they have impossible pains and they can't go back and take risks and give themselves out because they've shut down. And he said they're also the few that are the runners, that are the great runners. And he told us when he died, he'd call us all in, which he did actually, if he was conscious and able to do it. And he would only ask one thing before he met his Lord, was he would ask if we, his 9 children, now having our own children, etc., were not only runners, but we're helping each other stay on the run, always stay on the run. And we told him with tears that we were runners, because he said, I want to meet the Lord, and I want to tell him, each of you as you run down and I pick you up in my arms and I spin toward him, I want to say, this is my runner, Lord, who's running for you in their life. And he taught us to be runners. And I want you all, if I had one lesson to give you, is that none of you are maybes or frozens in your lifetime. You are not only runners, but you're helping those in your circle to stay on the run.
Well, I want to thank you for watching Different Views, One Voice. I'm your host, Amelia Ismore. And as always, the thing that we always want everyone to know is to let your voice be heard. I want to thank Berny Dohrmann, our guest. You are absolutely fantastic. And CEOSpace is a much needed platform for everyone to grow, because in the end, America is about business. It's not where you're from, it's where you want to go that takes you to where you should be. And thanks to my crew this week, both Guy and Judith, for helping Different Views, One Voice happen. So, as always, we like to say and sign off with, let your voice be heard.